This is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk about more bullish news for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin bull continues to sharpen his horns, and we really have some amazing news this morning that Harvard, Yale, Brown, and possibly other Ivy League university endowments have been buying Bitcoin over the past year. In the past, if you'd seen a headline like this, you would have just immediately assumed that it was unsubstantiated. But this looks like it's the real thing. And it really puts the lie to people who still think, and I get a lot of these comments still, that the U.S. government is going to ban Bitcoin. This is what a government ban would look like in any case, but it's really not going to happen when you have billionaires that own Bitcoin, when you have Harvard and Yale and other universities. Stanford's probably been buying Bitcoin as well. You're just not going to have the U.S. government ban something like this. There are too many powerful people who will behind the scenes make sure that this doesn't happen. This is made very clear as well by some of Biden's appointments to various financial regulators, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC, Michael Barr, Chris Brummer, new appointee to the CFTC, and Gary Gensler to the SEC. These are all crypto knowledgeable and Bitcoin friendly people, as far as I can tell. Amazing thing about Gary Gensler that I've been meaning to mention is that he actually taught a course at MIT that is available for anyone who wants to watch for free. I haven't watched it yet, but this definitely demonstrates that Gary Gensler knows what's happening with Bitcoin, understands blockchain, understands smart contracts and dApps in terms of Ethereum, etc. So this is who's going to be the new head of the SEC, and it seems very likely to me that this is the kind of guy who will help to drive through an ETF for Bitcoin. If you're enjoying this video and finding it helpful, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe and like button. More bullish Bitcoin news. The Marathon Group, there was a big article that they've ordered a lot more Bitcoin miners. They also have recently bought $150 million worth of Bitcoin. WhalePanda here in this tweet points out that when everyone was panicking that there had possibly been a double spend on the Bitcoin blockchain, which was not true, it had not happened, that in that dump, it looks like Marathon was scooping up coins. So be careful listening to rumors like this. The strong hands end up taking over the Bitcoins. This is amazing news from Canada. The biggest upstream oil and gas producer is now mining Bitcoin. Here's a picture. It's minus 41 degrees Celsius at this new data center, but they're using it to mine Bitcoin. Also from Cathie Wood over at ARK Investments. Cathie saying that she's been talking to a lot of large tech companies, a lot of them asking her for her advice on whether she should follow Square's lead and MicroStrategy's lead in terms of buying Bitcoin for their balance sheets. Obviously, if we see an announcement come out that Apple or Facebook, Google, Amazon, any of these companies have been buying Bitcoin, it would be extremely, extremely bullish news. This would not be surprising either, given that Bitcoin really first got its start, at least in the U.S., among circles in Silicon Valley. So for tech companies to buy Bitcoin is not as big of a stretch as we may have thought a couple years ago. I mentioned a couple minutes ago the new Bitcoin ETFs. It's my belief that we'll have a Bitcoin ETF. Right now we have Grayscale GBTC, which is a trust, and it operates a little differently from an ETF. Once we get an ETF, then all the RIAs, the registered investment advisors, everyone who advises retail investors will have an easy way for people to buy Bitcoin that will be much lower fees than something like GBTC. In the process of these new ETFs being announced, the premium on GBTC has collapsed as people begin to realize that there are going to be new entrants coming into the Bitcoin space and allowing investors who maybe don't want to go to all the trouble of opening up a cryptocurrency brokerage account at somewhere like Coinbase or Gemini and then hold their their cryptocurrency or Bitcoin on a hardware wallet. It'd be much easier for people just to buy an ETF. This was very bullish for gold when the GLD ETF came out in I think it was 2004, 2005. And this is one way you just get more money coming into a space. In the old days, if you wanted to buy Bitcoin, you had to actually mail a check to Japan, to Mt. Gox. And now we're going to have, at some point, almost certainly in the next, call it 12 months, have a new Bitcoin ETF. There's enough liquidity now. There's a futures market that backs it. There's an options market. So there is this sort of financial ecosystem that is supporting Bitcoin. Liquidity has grown. The market cap has grown. All the arguments against a Bitcoin ETF, that it would be too illiquid, that there would be big trading gaps, etc., have been put to rest at this point. So at this point, it's just a question of regulatory approval. It looks like Valkyrie has filed for a Bitcoin ETF. They just filed late last year. We had VanEck file an application as well for to be able to be approved to issue a Bitcoin ETF. There are a number of other companies that are doing this now. There may be some that we don't even know about who have them in the works as well. But this ensures that it makes me very confident, at least, that there should be a Bitcoin ETF sometime soon. This will be a huge milestone. When Amazon starts accepting Bitcoin, that will be another huge milestone. And the great thing about investing in Bitcoin is these milestones are ahead of us. Once something's behind you in terms of chronological history, it's really been priced into the market. These are things that are not priced in yet. A Bitcoin ETF, all university endowments adding Bitcoin to their endowments. These things are not yet priced in. Interesting metric that I've been recently become acquainted with. This is from Willy Woo, and it's called SOPR. And what this is basically, well, before we talk about that, we can see on the chart here that we've gotten right back down to the 0 point. This is a measurement of, it's a ratio of the price sold for Bitcoins versus divided by the price paid. So price sold divided by price paid. This gives you an idea of where profitable positions will be. So once this gets down to 0, the only way this goes negative is if people are willing to sell their Bitcoin at a loss. So it looks at the overall ratio, price sold divided by price paid. Obviously, if that goes, it becomes less than 1, then it shows that people are selling at a loss. If we take a look at this orange line, it just hasn't happened for a very long time. You can get people dumping underneath this horizontal line, which marks that point where the basically people on average have no profit. But this is usually a place where things bounce. What's very bullish as well is where we were in 2013 and 2017 when this SOPR spiked much higher. So at the peaks, we can see the 2013 peak. We can see how high the blue line, how high the SOPR got. Likewise, in 2017, we can see here that it lagged a little bit, but it was very close to the peak. Now we're way down here. This suggests that this rally is just getting started. To keep in mind the price targets, they still seem somewhat fantastical, but this year has been, really the last 3 months for Bitcoin have been fantastical as well. Here's a tweet from Plan B talking about that if we continue to follow, basically the blue line here is the 2016 halving, the darker line is the 2012 halving, and the red line is where we are after the May 2020 halving. The halving is just when the miner subsidy, the reward for miners, gets cut in half every 4 years. So we are tracking above the 2016 cycle, and it looks like we're going to sort of stay. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but if we extrapolate this, it suggests that sometime between April and September of this year, we will be at $100,000 per Bitcoin. Right now, trading around $31,000. In Bitcoin terms, something going up 3x is not a gigantic move. the absolute numbers are looking large. Bitcoin's becoming very expensive. When you think about it, I believe the average or the median American household has income of something like $55,000 or $60,000. Once Bitcoin passes that, obviously that's not discretionary income, that's total income for a household, but it is a marker. Once Bitcoin passes the median household income, wherever it is, 55, 60, 65, that will certainly be significant. And we're already at the point where most people can only afford Satoshis, 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. And the more this goes on, the more a single Bitcoin will be out of reach of the average investor. But I think we're still really at the beginning here. There are very few investments where you can suggest that you're going to make 2 or 3 times your money in just a few months. Nice tweet as well on using the stock to flow model as well from Kraken, roughly suggesting that 1 year after the May 2020 halving, so call it May 2021, we should be around $85,000 per Bitcoin. Finally wanted to end with a tweet from WhalePanda alluding to the huge melt up and the huge volatility that we've been seeing in GameStop and GME, which I talked about yesterday, and WhalePanda just suggesting that once Wall Street Bets realizes that Bitcoin cannot be halted, is not as highly regulated, and is also open on weekends, open 24/7, that's when you get the biggest short squeeze of all time. And I think really, if you think about it, anyone who does not own Bitcoin at this point they're not structurally, they're not actually short Bitcoin, but they're structurally short Bitcoin in the sense that they do not have any. This is like being a renter. You're not technically short the housing market, but if you're renting and you're renting for many years, you're structurally short the housing market. And as housing prices go up, your rent will rise, etc. And I think something similar is happening with Bitcoin, and especially with the flows that we're seeing from university endowments. It looks like the Rothschild, one of their investment vehicles, bought some more Bitcoin. Marathon buying Bitcoin, and possibly some of the large tech companies buying Bitcoin, to be followed by a huge flood of money once that Bitcoin ETF is approved. So I think we're tracking well. We've been sort of chopping around with Bitcoin, but I'm extremely bullish for over the next couple months. And I think 2021 really is going to be a banner year for Bitcoin. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.